Today's Super Nintendo gem is ActRaiser. This is the first game by legendary developer Quintet. You may be more familiar with their works such as the Quintet trilogy of Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and Terranigma, but this is their very first game released very late 1990 in Japan. The States wouldn't get it until around November 1991. This game does have a lot of praise, and you may know it does actually have a remake as well on the Switch and other modern platforms. But let's take a look at the original on Super Nintendo. Is this worth it? Is this a great classic game? Let's find out. ActRaiser was released in December of 1990 in Japan, just 1 month after the release of the Super Famicom. ActRaiser is unique in that it blends two distinct types of gameplay together, a side-scrolling platformer and an overhead city builder type game. The story of ActRaiser involves the player character playing a godlike being who lives in a sky palace above the world. You are tasked with destroying monsters in the area for humans. As the game progresses, you and your angel servant help the humans of the world defend against these forces of evil while they rebuild their civilization and regain their faith in you. Throughout the game, you slowly regain your godly powers when you have more believers in the world. Structurally, ActRaiser has an incredibly awesome flow. You start out in the side-scrolling missions as you take a physical form to defeat enemies so that humanity can move in to peacefully rebuild. Platforming and attacking feel great. Each stage is quite short but gives you enough of a challenge. Attacking is primarily done with your sword, but you also get the usage of magic powers the more you progress. The music here is really good too. It's composed by the legendary Yuzo Koshiro of Streets of Rage and Shinobi Fang amongst many others. The animation is also really nice to look at, especially for such an early Super Nintendo game. The usage of Mode 7 to do the iconic spinning effects when going into levels is awesome. I also love the detail on the background layers and the water effects. It's also really funny when you triumphantly pause the game. Pause? The other half of ActRaiser is on the city protection sections, as I'll call them. Essentially, once you rid an area of some monsters, people can move into the area and grow a civilization. You control your angel, who shoots down monsters to protect the humans as they build. You essentially guide where the city is going to expand, and you can even utilize some divine intervention, like burning down bushes, causing earthquakes, making it rain, and so on. These sections end once you have guided the people to seal away any remaining monsters in the area. Once that is done, you move your sky palace to another part of the world and start this loop over again. It's really interesting to see yet another game on Nintendo consoles that contains a lot of religious imagery and themes, and there are subtle changes for the North American version that got heavily censored, like removing direct references to God and Satan, for example. One thing that the game flow works really well for ActRaiser is that it makes its pacing really great. It has a battery save, so you can really tackle this one at your own rate as you're going through. The writing also has a really special charm that at times can be pretty funny, like listening to your people praying to you and asking for things, or giving you bread. But they also are the ones who tell you how to advance further in the game with smaller objectives to do. ActRaiser has become somewhat of a Super Nintendo staple, with cartridges ranging from around $45 to $50. To me, it's definitely worth your time. In 2021, a pseudo remake called ActRaiser Renaissance was released for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, and other modern platforms. It has a different art style and changes up gameplay, especially in the overhead city stages. I've yet to play it, but the graphic and animation quality don't look too appealing to me personally, especially since I already have the original. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Renaissance is actually awesome. Let me know if you did enjoy this one. After the success of ActRaiser, they actually made a sequel, ActRaiser 2. Now this one is a little bit different, so let's see if this one stacks up as much as its predecessor. ActRaiser 2 was released a few years later in 1993. The sequel is most well known for completely removing the city aspects and focusing solely as a hack-and-slash 2D platformer. Graphically, this one is pretty impressive to look at, as you start your game overseeing the world and can choose which stages to play in the order that you want. Each stage has a lot of really cool effects on the different layers, and it really makes them stand out. I especially like some of the fire effects on some of the stages here. The thing about ActRaiser 2 is that it is absolutely brutal. The enemies can swarm you from all directions and really overwhelm you. You move much more slowly compared to your movement in the first game, and it does become a bit difficult to navigate through these stages. I personally did not have much enjoyment from this game due to its difficulty and slower movement, especially right after playing the first game. Cartridges for ActRaiser 2 range from $30 to $35, and for more of a challenging yet beautiful platformer, it could be worth that if it's what you're into. Ultimately, I'm more disappointed that they did not improve over the hybrid of genres that the original did so well, but I don't want to necessarily discredit ActRaiser 2 as a really nice looking, but yet difficult platformer. It still has its merits there. Whether it's ActRaiser 1, 2, or Renaissance, you can see that this series has still endured over the years and has become beloved by many. And that is ActRaiser 1 and 2 on the Super Nintendo. Do you like these games? Can you actually beat ActRaiser 2? Let me know, and in the meantime, thank you for watching. ActRaiser. This is a game by Quintet, who you may be familiar with Soul Blazer and Terranigma and the third one. What's the third one called? Soul Blazer, Terranigma. What's the other one? Don't I have... Hold on. Illusion of Gaia. That's what it is. So they did those three. All right.